My most controversial take yesterday was not being mad at Sam Williams for this penalty. And I'll tell you why. I think it's way too unfair for the defender to be expected not to make contact when you're that close to a pump block. It's like the margin for error is so small. You're that close and you run into the guy. Because if you make contact with the football, if you block it and destroy the punter, it's not a flag. Mm-hmm. It like totally wipes out any roughing, any penalty towards the punter. The problem with Sam Williams is he didn't make the contact with the football. I don't know how he missed it, but Sam being that close and running into the punter, I did not have a big problem with. Now, Greg Olsen immediately talked about special teams technique, and that's what all the Tolos lit me up with. Greg Olsen saying, you never leave your feet. You're not supposed to leave your feet. Sharif, do you not watch football? I thought you watched more football than Choppy and Bobby. Clearly, that is not the case. And I said, guys, people leave their feet, jump and dive all the time to block punts. I don't know where Greg Olsen came up with this, and I know that he played, and I can't even, have a competitive game in Madden. But I just YouTube for in a commercial break real quick. I'm like, pump block highlights. And I call basket. I'm like, am I out of my mind that people leave their feet all the time to block punts? And they do. So Sam Williams running into the punter being that close, I did not have a problem. And nobody criticized the Cowboys' stupidity, lack of discipline, and penalties more than I do. I did not have a problem with that play for that very reason. My problem is, were you scared of the football? Did you do a little dodge and sidestep? But Sam has made special teams plays like that this season. Earlier in the year, that was my big hot take, apparently, controversy that I tweeted out. Does any of that make sense to you?
It does, and I think the leaving the feet thing, there is language in the rule book about leaving the feet, but I think it's about you can't leap over defenders when trying to block a punt. So you can't leap over them and leave your feet.
Dive at the punter to block all the time.
Now one of the things is
you're saying I do watch more football.
The coaching technique a lot of times for guys on special teams is that they don't want them leaving their feet. That's a coaching point a lot.
Yeah.
They say, because you risk, roughing the kicker or whatever else.
If you run through it, stay on your feet, easier to avoid the punter.
Yeah, a lot of times people coach work to the side of the punter and move your hands back to the side. That's what they'll coach up. But, man, I kind of wonder, when you ask, why did he miss the ball? You don't know how he missed the ball. Do you think the over-insistence on, Sam, you got to pull it back, do you think he hesitated at all?
I don't know.
And because of that didn't go full bore in there?
You would know that. You have been saying more than anyone what they tell Sam, and you tweeted, hadn't seen one of these from Sam in a long time. Guess he was due.
It had been a minute, but I do kind of wonder when I saw him, because it looked like he almost hesitated, or he didn't, like he was going 90% at the end or something. And I wonder if it just got in his head a little bit can't hit the guy, got to pull up a little if I'm not going to block this punt. But man, if you're going to go in there, go big or go home, because if you block the punt, you can run right through the guy.
Yeah.
And so just make sure you get the ball. That was a huge play.
Huge.
Oh, and there's the Dak overthrow on Good Morning Football right now.
That was my defense of Sam. Roughing penalty gave Buffalo the first down. Never jumped to block. Now let's talk about the rest of the penalties. Peyton, how many penalties do you think were in this football game total yesterday?
Let me go with 10.
Bobby, you think it's more or less than 10 total?
I think it's probably less, because I remember I was caught off guard at one point in the second half when I saw it was 5 total.
6 total penalties.
Felt like more.
All by the Cowboys, right?
5 and 1.
That's right.
Now I will say this before I blast all the crybabies that take it to referees every week. It's just getting more and more and more and more and more. Peyton and the rest of the other Cowboy fans. For Buffalo to run it 49 times and have one hold, that does not add up. That just doesn't make that just doesn't make any sense. So that would appear to be a lack of holding penalties on Buffalo. 49 carries, 1 hold, and miraculously, getting 5 penalties in a game for the Cowboys, that's like having none, basically, for this football team against good opponents. So let's talk about the penalties. Because Michael Gelkin put that out there, and everyone, when you put us behind the 8 ball like that, what do you expect? All the momentum was sucked away in the game. argue with me about these penalties. First touchdown drive. DeMarcus Lawrence roughing the passer, the forearm or the arm to the chest of Josh Allen on 3rd and 4. They got the stop. Gilmore versus Diggs. Were the Cowboys robbed? We're going to go around the room for each of these.
No, it was roughing.
It was.
Peyton.
By the rule, yes, it was. It was soft, but by the rule, yes.
And Josh Allen, he's a flailer. Yeah, he's going to sell the call. But Tank made contact. Let me rephrase it. You don't have to think it was like a good call, but you have to acknowledge it's something that like could be called. Like, we're not shocked that was called.
No.
Right? So that was legit in today's NFL standards. The Sam Williams roughing, was that a fair or good call?
Yeah, I mean, by the definition of the penalty, it is roughing.
It is.
It's at the very least it's running into it, but I mean it's probably roughing.
Hey, Pay.
Yep. I mean, he knocked him on his backside. Got to call it.
I mean,
he ran right through him.
He ran right through because he had no other choice. That was part of my Sam Williams defense. Like, he had to hit him because he was like there. Again, the miracle in that play is how he didn't touch the football or make contact with it. The only call that you could really go crazy about, in my opinion, I don't even know crazy, the J-Ron Curse unnecessary roughness. I knew that when the hit occurred, I was like, that they're gonna throw it. They just do. I thought that's the one where you could say that the Cowboys, not even screwed, but that's the one I would argue the most.
It was ticky-tack, probably. Like I mean, yeah, I don't know that it was full on. They got screwed from it, but
and that was 2nd and 19.
It felt a little. It did feel a little like, okay, you haven't been throwing stuff all day, but you're gonna throw on that one. That just seems a little over the top. But I do think that for the most part,
Curse's helmet did make contact.
Yep.
When a receiver goes high like that and gets splattered like that in the back, they'll say defenseless. I thought I had an issue with that one. I'm not going crazy about it. It was outright like theft, like Chiefs fans would whine and cry about Andy Reid and Mahomes. That to me was the most ticky-tack one. Pepe, where did you stand on the J-Rom one?
Yeah, ticky-tack. I mean, it made contact. It made he made contact. It was head, and
so let's just say that let's just say it shouldn't have been called. For argument's sake, these big 3 penalties that everyone's whining and crying about, the Cowboys committed 2 of them.
yeah,
In the court of NFL law, you're guilty. Stop crying about it. You didn't get screwed. You did it. And instead of placing the blame on the players or the staff, you take it somewhere else because you lack accountability. It's your teacher's fault. It's your kid's fault. It's the bus driver's fault. It's never your kid. Your kid's not the brat. Your kid's not the troublemaker. It's somebody else. It's YouTube. It's the cell phone. It's the internet. It's not Johnny. It's not Susie. That's how you sound. Every time you bitch and you whine and you cry, and this isn't new either. The Dallas Cowboys do this year after year under Mike McCarthy. Undisciplined. Big moments, they fold. But not your beloved football team. Oh my gosh, you screwed us. 2 of the 3 calls, and you could say all 3 were legitimate. And even if you got screwed in all 3, the way that they played run defense and the way that they were helpless and soft and folded against James Cook, you still want to put up a fight in an argument that you're going to win that football game? Get out of here, man. Get out of here. I can't stand it.
yeah, and I think the some of the issue that I know from watching the game with people yesterday, watching it with fans yesterday, was like it's sort of what you just referenced there. There were a few different times where I saw people go like, that's holding. Look, they're holding. Why is that not being called? Why is holding not being called? It's almost like now they wanted more penalties when they had one of them. But yeah, I think when you're talking about 49 rush attempts in the rain, or 46 because there were 3 kneel downs, but 46 rush attempts in the rain, and you gash a team like that, there's probably a couple holding calls that just got missed.
I agree.
But I also don't know that it was a symptom of the referees looking at it and going, well, I'm not calling that. Like a lot of times whenever a holding gets missed, it's because when they say there's holding on every play, that means it literally is happening somewhere and somebody's going to have an oversight.
If Chop was here, he would probably just repeat what I just said, not paying attention. But number 2, he would say it will even out. Not one Cowboy fan complaining yesterday remembered or would cite the segment we did last week, how the Cowboys benefited. I went through 8 plays. 8 plays in the previous game, and the Cowboys benefited 90% of the time. It evens out. You have benefited from 2nd and 19, 3rd and 19 questionable calls. But when it's done for you, you put your head in the sand. When it's done against you, the league is out to get you. And Roger Goodell doesn't want the most popular and biggest attraction by far playing in Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. Micah Parsons on all the flags.
I mean, it's super deflated. I think that changed the whole momentum of the game, changed the course of the game. They might get 3 on that 3rd down. We get off the field, though, and they don't get any points on them next 2 drives. We make them earn it. I mean, if you just told me, I think that changed the whole momentum of the game, forced our offense to be in certain situations, not letting them get into their full game plan and things like that. Those crucial penalties really hurt. They really hurt. And time and time again, we come on the road and we face these crucial penalties and we just can't overcome it. And that's just something we got to look at.
Thank you, Micah. Not blaming the refs. Usually that comes from Mike McCarthy on down. The excuse making, point to the stripes, point to the referees, point to the officials. I'm glad Micah did not take it there. Star up for that.
Yeah, you get a star up for the post game, I guess. But man, it's hard to legitimately to with a straight face blame officials though when you get beat down like that. and I think the players know that is that they got their asses handed to them. They got absolutely run in this game. And I had said yesterday, obviously, we talked about it on Friday. I had picked Buffalo, and I picked Buffalo again in the pregame yesterday. But I had said,
well, I'm glad you stuck with it.
Well, I'm just saying. I said in the pregame show, I was like, I'm picking Buffalo in this game. I would not be surprised if it went either way. I said the only thing that would surprise me is if either team blew them out. I did not expect Dallas to just get blown out yesterday. And it's concerning.
That's not in Buffalo's makeup to run it down your throat like they're San Francisco.
That's the thing. You look at when it's presented to you, it's in Buffalo's makeup to attack weakness, though. And they saw weakness and they went, all right, let's go after this. And that's something that now that's been rightly established is that physical football teams are going to look at you and go, oh, okay, we can just really rough this team up.
Let's try to pick it up. I'm going to have some attempts at positives that people might not like.
Okay.
As we go across the NFC East and around the NFC East, always choose your own adventure. When we go around the NFC East, would you like to go with the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Giants, or the Commanders?
You know what, guys? We've been rocking with the Cowboys for a long time. The loss catches up to them. So let's go with the Commanders to start.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Okay.
I switched up on you.
Man, that did really throw me for a loop. All right, let's go with the Commanders where, well, they still lost because they're not good. But positive news for the Commanders. Sam Howell had thrown a pick six in each of his last 3 games. He could have tied the record held by Matt Schaub for the most consecutive pick six games. However, he did not. He only threw a regular interception.
Oh, just a regular one?
That's called progress.
Is it?
No.
Were they any better?
No.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, they weren't.
I guess, yeah, no.
Unless you're cheering for the draft pick.
I'm going to say it's not progress. I'm
Okay.
going to say that's just still standing still.
Because if it was still standing still, you'd have got knocked over and then a rusher would have gone right past you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you want to go? Otherwise, the Commanders are boring. Do you want to go to the Giants, the Eagles, or the Cowboys?
Well, Kevin, I know how much of a fan you are of one Tommy DeVito.
Oh, forget about it.
We will go with the Tommy Cutlets beer.
Tommy dropping dimes DeVito. Look, you can make fun of him all you like, but he's your last hope. Or probably your last best hope to win this division. Now, unfortunately, didn't go super great for them yesterday as Tommy DeVito had to leave the field for, I think, like 4 or 5 plays. He got sacked 7 times.
Wow.
By the Saints.
Wow.
So there's that. And the Giants had all of 193 yards for the game.
But they scored a touchdown, right?
They did not.
Oh.
They kicked a couple. Actually, you know what? That actually phases perfectly into the next part. They did not score a touchdown, and their place kicker got hurt. So
I saw that.
he hurt his hamstring on a kickoff.
It's a tough thing to do.
After kicking a 56-yard field goal. So for their next field goal, because they couldn't be scoring touchdowns, they brought in the punter. And the punter hit a 40-yard field goal for the Giants. Now, look, that made the game 7-6. I realized...
Close one.
Yeah.
Good finish right there.
I realized the game didn't end up being that close. But at that point, the game was still,
within reach.
Kind of in the balance.
Within kicking distance.
Then don't worry about what happened in the second half because the Giants did a big bag of nothing.
They got it handed to them.
But do you think Jamie Gillen deserves some Pro Bowl love because not only is he a punter, he can kick a 40-yard field goal?
No.
Okay.
No. But let's see what he does next year. Let's see if he'll be like, you know what? I've trained for both punting and kicking. And I've never understood that, by the way.
What would you call that skill? If you combined kicking,
pucking,
and punting together, what would you call it?
I just said it. Like hockey, pucking.
Okay.
What would you call it, Kevin?
No, that sounds about right.
All right. I've just never understood why we don't have more combo kickers, field goal kicker, punters. And if you're like, well, because it's different kicking, don't care. Like you kick the ball through the uprights and you punt it far. Like just if you can do both of them, I can save a roster spot.
True.
I can have Trey Lance as my third string quarterback, and I can trot him out there when the game's over.
Oh, well.
So I have to leave him on the sideline.
Or
get real linebackers.
By the way, oh my goodness gracious. Fair. While we're talking about the Giants have 3 games left. 2 of their last 3 games are against the Eagles. That's why we keep talking about Tommy DeVito. It's as simple as this. I realize this is not simple and this is a big if the Cowboys could win out, you just need one time Tommy DeVito to dial it up and defeat the Philadelphia Eagles. If that happens, you win the division and you get the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm assuming something from Detroit right there. You'll probably get the number 2 seed in the playoffs. And even if you don't, you would be stacked up with Detroit as the 2 and you as the 3, and you would avoid San Francisco until the NFC Championship game.
All right, now my question to you, Kevin. What on God's green earth makes you think that Tommy DeVito can do that, though?
Because before this game,
which
is not a good look, the Giants were on a 3-game winning streak. Do you know? Another NFC East team. Thank you very much.
Was it Washington?
No, yes. But think about this.
And was it the Patriots involved?
Yes.
Okay.
And the Packers. Hey, the Packers are not terrible.
How'd they look yesterday?
Not good.
Okay.
But I made sure to not say not terrible, is the Giants had won 2 games all season. And then, Tommy DeVito comes in.
Why do you do that every time?
Forget about it.
Why do you do that every time,
Forget
though?
about it. I think it's because... I think it's because of watching The Sopranos. And also, there's this Family Guy joke that I think is hilarious. And... somebody cuts in line in front of a whole bunch of like New York and New Jersey people, and they're like, "Oh, hey, Copernicus, why don't you navigate yourself to the back of the line?" And so I think it's a combination of those 2 things right there. And plus, you know what, Corey? That's the only hope we have is, well, I guess Matthew Stafford could help out as well. But if you want to get the tiebreak free and clear, you need the Giants to beat the Eagles. And you have to win out. Let's talk about some positive things, I guess. Is Dak Prescott threw his first interception, which that should have been the case like 3 times before that. He threw his first interception in 199 passes yesterday. That is the 3rd most in Cowboys history. Here's a fun way of looking at the chart. The longest streak in Cowboys history, Dak Prescott, 291. Then Troy Aikman, then Dak Prescott, then Troy Aikman, then Dak Prescott again. So the top 5 are all filled by Dak Prescott and Troy Aikman for longest consecutive run of throws without an interception.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll go back to it. I wrote a piece on 105.3 The Fan a long time ago that said that Dak Prescott would continue to to be in that category where he would take over all the Cowboys records at some point. The game, the way that it's built right now, allows that. But even still, to throw as many times as he was throwing and not have that happen, that is a positive thing for Dak Prescott because he made a commitment to take care of the football this year.
I'm going to throw out one more positive that people might scoff at, and I'll admit I'm part of that group, is CeeDee Lamb had a rushing touchdown. He now has 8 receiving touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns this year. Last Cowboys receiver to get to 10 or more touchdowns was Dez Bryant 9 years ago when he had 16 in that insane season right there. What a crazy number of touchdowns. Good for you, Dez. Is you put anything into that, or do you still think, why the hell was CD and Dak and the rest of the A team out on the field?
I'll stick to you don't deserve to get off this field. Like, give me some effort and I'll take you off the field, but y'all have done nothing. So at this point, we're doing practice reps in live rotation because I can't punish you in practice. So I'm going to stick with you guys get punished by having to be out on the field. But I do like that. I think it's a big deal, and it should be a big deal that CeeDee Lamb's able to do something that this team hasn't had at that position in a very long time. They've had a lot of different wide receivers to spread the ball around to, and so those numbers kind of faded a little bit. But to be able to be that's a dominant receiver. It is a little weird that he does it on a run play.
Yes, that is true. All right. Now we need to go to the Eagles. So the Eagles play tonight against Seattle. And keep in mind, I just want to make sure everybody understands this. If Seattle loses tonight against if Philadelphia loses tonight against Seattle, that will temporarily put the Cowboys back into first place.
Hell
but
yeah,
keep in mind,
what?
That's not the way it would play out if they both won out from here. All right. So you would still need some help if they both won out. But
from Tommy DeVito is what you're saying.
Or in this case, then Matthew Stafford would help you out as well, because you just need them to lose any game. I'm assuming we're all rooting for the Eagles to lose because that at least makes the path to a division title better. Or easier.
Here's the way that I kind of feel that way, Kevin, when you're discussing this. I want them to lose because it already seems like there's a little turmoil in house with the Jalen Hurts like trying to pick up the fumble stuff that's going on. I guess there was a note that AJ Brown was upset about it too, and so like I'm hoping that they're kind of falling apart internally. So that's really why I want to see it more than anything. I want to look and say, hey man, that team's they're not together anymore. Rather than, hey, we got it just for our purposes. But I want to see it happen tonight. I definitely want to see it happen tonight. And then a continued, everything just keeps falling.
In terms of updates for Jalen Hurts, Adam Schefter said it was described to me yesterday that Jalen Hurts was in real jeopardy of missing the game tonight. I think he's going to try to play, but I don't know if he's going to play. And then Eagles Nation put out that Ian Rappaport said he ended up traveling separately from the team. He's experiencing weakness and all sorts of flu-like symptoms, but he does not technically have the flu.
Okay.
And so
that is a kind of a thing that's been going around around these parts of late. I think kind of Adrian might have that thing going on.
Oh no.
Right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a weird thing. What do you call that, Kevin? It's like the flu, but it's not necessarily the flu.
So
the crud? You just call it the crud?
Yeah, actually. Does kind of make sense to me. Let's go with that. I don't know if that's the medical terminology, but we don't really have to worry about that. Let's go from that. I did that just for you. The Eagles made a change on their defensive staff. This is a kind of a low-key defensive staff. They're keeping their defensive coordinator in place. However, Matt Patricia has assumed play-calling duties for the defense, which feels a little odd, does it not?
It does, but it also, at the same time, like they needed an answer there, right? Their defense was floundering, and the Cowboys capitalized on what a couple other teams had seen that they don't do well. So the Cowboys capitalize it, and they're like, okay, can we fix this? They can't play man coverage, dude. Like that's just the reality of what they are right now. So they got to see if they can do something different in their scheme. It does feel weird to do it at this point in the season.
Yes.
But they are afraid. I really do think Philadelphia is afraid of all of this thing crumbling right before their eyes. I really do think that they're kind of on is it thin ice at this point? I think that everybody feels like they're on eggshells.
Do you think it's going to crumble?
Let's watch it tonight.
Okay.
Let's watch it all blissfully happen right before our eyes tonight.
So you're kind of anticipating the potential for
DK
crumbling.
Metcalf. I want to see 20 touchdowns tonight from him. Yeah, dude.
Would you settle for 3?
I would settle for 3.
Okay.
And a win, because didn't you have a really good game against us and they still lost? So I want the 3 and a win.
All right, let's go to Dom DeSandro, the security chief for the Philadelphia Eagles. He will not have sideline access for the remainder of the regular season. They might let him have sideline access back for the playoffs, but you know how we talked about he was going to be banned from the sideline for the Cowboys game, and then they would determine, the NFL that is, if there is further
need
need for punishment.
Okay.
And they decided, yes, there is. So he will not have sideline access for the rest of the regular season. How much is that going to hurt them?
I don't know. Like that is a real thing. I bet he takes care of things that people don't even think about.
What does that mean?
Like
he takes care of things?
No. Like I bet he does things that people take for granted. You know, it's like whenever, it's like if I died, all right, my wife would be like, hey, how's the yard going to get mowed? You know, she wouldn't know.
What?
She would be like, when's the filter going to be changed out in the refrigerator? She doesn't know how to do that. Actually, she called me while we were away and changed it because I had to send her like a link. Anyway, yeah, so I feel like maybe he does something. He gets a cup of water for somebody that they don't even realize he gets that cup of water for them. I think he's going to be missing, dude. I also think the fans love him so much so that whenever he's not on that sideline, they're like, we're lost without him. He's a leader.
Okay.
I don't know how they talk.
You're getting there.
All right.
Darius Slay underwent arthroscopic surgery this week. He's obviously not going to play tonight. And Sirianni did not provide a timetable for Slay's return, but he does believe that the cornerback will be back by the end of the regular season.
Okay.
So I don't know if that legitimately means just the last game of the regular
nothing
season.
left to play for. You know what I mean?
I mean, they would be.
They're in the playoffs.
In the playoffs,
yeah, but if they
right?
lost out here, Kevin, you telling me that he would be like, I got to come back for this team. I'm the secret for us winning a playoff game. We stink so much. Lost to Tommy DeVito twice.
See, but that's the thing. I think I would come back for that because then you would get the NFC South in the opening round of the playoffs. And so when you win that game, you can be like, you're welcome. Even though like realistically, you didn't have much, if anything, to do with what happened.
Valid.
You could still try to take credit for
it.
I would consider that.
I think it is the Damone Clark play where he gets taken to the woodshed in a way that I'm not used to seeing professional football players get taken. Deion Dawkins just buried him. It was like 20 yards worth of blocking before he just buried him right in front of the goal line. It was a tough thing to watch and stomach. I believe he just got the wind knocked out of him because he was banged up there. But when you get slammed just flat onto your back like that, you can go ahead and lose the ability to receive oxygen for a good 30 seconds. And I know from experience. I had a Denton Geyer offensive lineman one time in high school. I believe he picked me up by the throat with one hand, and then he just slammed me right down on my back. And you start to lose focus, coherency, and desire not only to play football, but just really to live for a few seconds.
That was essentially my experience going up against Jackson Jeffcoat in 7th grade.
Oh, that's not fair.
It was not fair.
That is not fair.
That guy was about a foot taller than me.
Yes, and he still is.
He still is, yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense why Damone Clark is going to be a late scratch for tonight's Cowboy Hour. You'll get C.J. Goodwin. So salute to him. We'll get to Mike McCarthy's presser here in just a few minutes. But what was the game? What was the play? What was the moment that stands out to you the most yesterday? 877-881-1053.
Can I talk about a play last night in the game that it makes you feel like that these players sometimes have money on the game?
Oh, are you about to
out somebody?
Paul Cruz somebody right now?
It's not even Tuesday, but let's get toxic.
You see that run that Trevor Lawrence had there? And he just like drops the ball.
I think he just lost his mind. There was a couple brain fart moments from Jacksonville.
He's scrambling and he's like,
it was a glitch.
It's between
Madden glitch.
Is he trying to slide? Is he trying to get out of bounds? It made me think like, damn, does he have money on this game? The way he just dropped it.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. There's some ridiculous plays, but you say
he short-circuited. Lawrence short-circuited there. I think he got up and was like, "What just happened?" I don't even think he knew what he did.
I don't
when
think
he
so
did
either.
it.
Maybe that was the concussion.
Maybe
that was the play.
There were some concussion-like symptoms all over the place.
some concussion play going on yesterday.
I think the one, I mean, for me,
Now, what's the
I got a
question
few.
again?
yeah, I mean, there's several.
Yes, the
I
play.
mean, there's a lot.
The play or the moment that you just can't get out of your mind from yesterday. I think it's Damone Clark for me,
No.
but you could make the argument for a lot of plays and
No.
moments. What is it? Go ahead.
It's the block punt.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a great one.
like that should have
Hey,
been a block.
Inexcusable.
I mean, when you go back and you watch that thing and you slow it down, and I'll say this though, it's amazing that the punter, it's amazing that they got the punter punted around him, basically to.
So is this credit to punter or is this
I don't
like
know.
Sam
I mean,
Williams?
he shanked it really kind of bad, but this is where I kind of like I lose my S about stuff because they should have blocked the first one, okay? Because Hunter Lipke, Armstrong, and Williams all get penetration right off the snap. So they had a chance for the block and they all missed. They just couldn't. They couldn't. They scrambled. They got the ball off, but it was to the point where I could see Bones Fossil like, okay, next one I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get this next one. If we can make them punt again, I'm going to, I'll go after it here. But the Bills do something. They try and get Hamlin, their personal protector.
DeMar.
They try and get him out early. They try and run him out so he can get down the field and cover. And so they take him out of the middle. And all Williams has to do is beat the center, which he did clean. And all he has to do is fall forward. If he falls forward, he blocks the punt. Instead, I don't know why he went up. Why do you go vertical there? Just go low. Take the ball off the guy's foot. You can blow him up. Once you block it, you can blow him up. You can run into the guy.
I mean, he literally could have taken the ball away from the punter.
He could have.
Was that clean.
It was that clean. Like the center Ferguson got beat so bad and so quick. I'm thinking, like, when you watch, you're like, oh, there's no way. How did he get that ball out of there? That was the play to me. I just went,
Yep.
This is not going to go our way.
You're F.
No doubt.
You're
That-
F today.
Certainly one that had me, oh no, was the Cooks should have been an easy touchdown. Unfortunately, the win behind Dak, and we've heard that might be a reason, but he overthrows him. Either way, he overthrew him. That was a big what-if moment. But the challenge...
You feel like if you complete that, you feel like you could have lost by less than 20 points.
I mean, it would have been 7-7. Game flow, who knows what happens, right? But the non-challenge really killed me. The fact that McCarthy had the challenge flag in his hand.
He was proud of that.
So, I mean, to me, all the crap that we're talking about, oh, they got up to the line quick, oh, we didn't get to see a replay. Your coach knew. He knew that, oh, maybe I should challenge. Throw the flag or call a timeout. It was a huge play in the game.
Huge.
You've got all three of your timeouts. There's 5:13 left. You're getting your ass kicked. You need some type of momentum change. I mean, I'm begging Brian. I'm like, God, this would be a great time for a Josh Allen turnover. It ends up being an awesome play. Marquise Bell punches the ball loose from Diggs. It's a clear recovery from Donovan Wilson. I understand it's on the opposite side of the field. All that be damned. McCarthy knew enough to where he's got the flag in his hand. Throw it.
I just don't think they didn't want to do Trayvon's brother like that. Did you hear Dan Quinn during the week? Like, yeah, we're not going to make Trayvon give us all the secrets. It's his brother. It's family. I think they were just trying to help out,
Diggs, Did Diggs tell him? Diggs probably told Dan, you need to watch their running game.
Hey, dude, my brother didn't fumble that, bro.
They don't throw the ball very well. You need to watch their running game.
it really is inexcusable, man. Like,
Stephon didn't fumble. He doesn't fumble, coach.
Dude, and Diggs is clearly trying to hurry this thing up.
And that's what was amazing, because you just have to just pay attention to what's going on the field. Because there was a play very similar. Now, it wasn't a fumble, but DJ Moore catches a pass along the sideline yesterday. I talked about this in the postgame. He clearly didn't think he got both feet in. He runs back over, guys, we got to snap this ball quick. It's a hurry-up situation. Stefanski doesn't get a replay. They never show one. But he just realizes, okay, something's up here, throw the challenge flag. They review it, and ends up being overturned. It's just an awareness. And in that, to me, there was no losing in that situation.
At least
Worst
call
case
a
scenario,
timeout.
yeah, at least call a timeout. Worst case scenario, if you don't, you throw the challenge flag and you lose a timeout. It was
But
worth
it's the
taking a
yeah,
look.
in the first half, I'm not really much concerned about losing a timeout.
And
No.
there's 5 minutes left, a little over 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's a huge play that is ultimately going to be inexcusable on your head coach, and it falls on him. And those are the types of things that you don't really have much faith in your coach. You don't have a bunch of faith in your coach to do the right thing in a high leverage situation, game management, all that kind of stuff. You don't really ultimately trust him. He's got a good record throughout his career of challenging. Like when he challenges, he wins often.
Hell, we'll never forget 2014.
That
Threw the
was
flag that time.
Yeah, he did. He didn't just keep
Only
it in his
challenge he
hand
won
there.
all year. That was the only one he won
Ugh,
all year.
disgusting.
And that's what a lot of people are texting in about the thing that sticks out to them the most. Like a lot of we're getting the Sam Williams play, but the not challenging the fumble there, which is something that you absolutely like. You go into that game needing turnovers, you know it. They're susceptible to it. You're great at it, and that's one like highlight moment from one of your defenders in the game where he punches the ball. It's a beautiful play by Bell. And then you're not able to capitalize on it, and it's a huge bummer. And yesterday it was filled with errors. I will say the very next play, like they run to the line and they get the play off, and isn't it the sack, the Mozzie sack, the very next play?
And they blow the whistle.
Well, the thing that
They're like,
stood out to me
he's-
there,
he stopped. He's in the grass.
the whistle was something that did stand out. Where it was like, thank
This is
God
Josh
they blew
Allen.
the whistle.
Yeah.
But if you watch Micah on the play, what he does to Spencer Brown is as almost disrespectful as what Deion Dawkins did to Damone Clark. You watch Micah Parsons on that play, and it's reminiscent of what Micah did to McGlinchey in San Francisco last year, where he works the inside and just ragdolls a 300-pounder through the air. And it was, I'm like, oh my gosh. And Josh Allen's running for his life, and there's Mozzie to save the day. But that did stand out to me, Broadus, the way that Micah Parsons just absolutely launched Spencer Brown on that play.
No.
His rush attempts, he was good yesterday. He just didn't get a lot of them.
No. The problem is they threw the ball 15 times, and that was probably 15 more times than they really even needed to. It was a dominant rushing attack there yesterday.
Can I ask you guys, and the Dak interception, I was confused.
Should have had like what, 4?
Yeah,
I mean,
there
I'm
was
just
several that were close.
the one that was caught. I mean, it be honest with you, Dak probably shouldn't have been playing that point of the game anyway. But
is that a coach punishing his team a little bit? Like, you didn't earn the right
Dak,
to
no,
sit.
he wanted to try and establish some momentum and
Get into that rhythm before next week.
Maybe so.
Damn right, they're winning next week.
But
Heck
the
yeah.
question,
that CD touchdown.
the question that I have is, I'm not sure who Dak was throwing the ball to, because when you look at the route, to me it was confusing because it appears that he wants to throw the ball underneath for the first down to Cooks, and Cooks is open, but there's a route behind that. There's a Lamb route behind the Cooks route, and the ball was thrown such a high trajectory. It was too high for Cooks. Or too high for Cooks.
He kind of thought about jumping, but he didn't. It was too high.
Too high for Cooks,
it.
and then too short for Lamb. And I wonder if he got caught in between trying to think, because first off, like I say, Cooks was wide open. That's a ball that you hand the ball to Dak and say, throw that pass. He's going to complete that pass, how open Cooks. But I was confused by the depth of Lamb behind Cooks in the route, and how the ball just sailed out of Dak's hands.
Couldn't figure out who he was trying to throw to there.
I couldn't figure out if he was trying to throw. Man, I didn't know.
With the way he was airmailing a couple of those, it
might have been.
I think it was to Cooks.
In fact, they might have been to Cooks.
Put too much on it.
Yeah. I was confused. I'm like, God, who's he throwing the ball here to?
Yeah.